ELI5 If blood continuously flows throughout the body, what happens to the blood that follows down a vein where a limb was amputated? Think of a ladder. The left and right sides are the long artery and vein. The connecting rungs are capillary beds. Amputation would be like removing the last rung. However, we still have the rungs above it, upstream to it. Think of it like a river with lots of smaller streams splitting off, and smaller ones splitting off them, etc. Even if you block the main river, it will just increase the flow down all the smaller streams. All those smaller streams eventually reach the other river vein, which carries it back to the start, so the blood can keep flowing around perfectly fine. Blood will find a way. If you remove a freezer leg vein because of varicose, blood will take another route to return to heart. If you amputate a large portion of body, like half a leg, then you need to close up arteries and veins at the end. From a blood point of view, this new end of leg is no different than your foot, and blood has no problem with not getting stuck in foot. What do you work? How did you chop off your finger? I feel your pain. 2020 decided it wanted to take one last bite out of me and arranged a blind date between my left thumb and a running table saw on December 28. Thankfully, a surgeon was able to reattach it with relatively little long-term effects, other than my outermost joint doesn't move on its own anymore. That's exactly what happens in your home with your plumbing system. When you have an open tap in the kitchen, it doesn't seem weird that water arrives until the bathroom tap, but doesn't go further than that. The body can reroute blood vessels. It's called angiogenesis. Much like how the skin and other tissues will heal, your circulatory system will find a way to connect up with the thousands of other capillaries in the area to ensure blood doesn't pool in the stump. It may take a bit for your body to notice the issue and resolve it, though. The blood in the vessels you refer to as dead ends coagulate. So there is no blood flowing there, only materialized old blood. Source: did some work in vascular surgery. Connect pipe to a tap. Have a Y joint at end of pipe. Add a length of pipe on the split of Y joint. Put the two pipes in the original tank from which the flow of tap starts. Block one pipe with finger. Water still flows to the tank from the other pipe. Life finds a way. It has to turn around and go home, I guess. Like going to a store and realizing it's out of business. Simple. They make a U-turn to the pump. In those veins that lead nowhere, blood pools and then thickens, effectively closing that vein. It's not one big continuous loop. It's tens of thousands of loops. When a limb or appendage is cut off, there are so many redundant circuits for getting blood back to the heart. FYI, arteries carry oxygenated blood out from the heart. Veins bring deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Easy way to remember is that a way and artery both start with A. Piggyback the question: will blood pressure eventually change, assuming lower, for having less area to circulate blood? Hell yeah brother, I cut the tip of my finger off in a letterbox a few weeks ago. My answer would be, The same thing that happens at the fingertips now is what would happen at the amputation zone. Blood would behave just like it does at an extremity and return to the heart on that same path. If you understand circuitry, blood runs on parallel circuits, not in series. Maybe stop pontificating and go have your finger looked at before you bleed out. Your body adapts over time. It'll get better at returning the blood once it repairs the initial trauma site. In the meantime, your finger's circulation will be a little messed up while your body figures it out. The blood is absorbed by surrounding tissues and redirected towards other veins so that it can return to the heart. Interesting fact: abdominal aortic aneurysms were found in 5.8% of the amputees compared with 1.1% of the non-amputees. Unilateral flow reduction after leg amputation causes an asymmetrical flow pattern at the aortic bifurcation, and this is probably the main cause of late damage to the aorta. I worked with a woman who had an above-the-knee amputation. She said the pain wasn't bad after the procedure, but the doctor warned her when she stood up it was going to be bad. Apparently the blood rushing down and hitting the stump was the most intense pain she's ever felt. Watch Cells at Work on Netflix. It's very helpful for understanding this type of information. The racetrack idea is a little too simple. It's more like two one-way highways. Arteries and veins flowing in opposite directions. And then in between you have a million exits between the two highways. There's so many exits that no matter where you cut the highway off, there will be an exit to the other side at the cutting point. So if the highway does get cut off, traffic will just move to the other highway and go in the opposite direction and get where it needs to go. Don't think of the blood vessels in your body as a static system of plumbing. You are a living system. You are constantly, literally constantly, breaking down muscle, bone, and connective tissue, including blood vessels, and regrowing or repairing the existing system. So when a limb is amputated, or a major vessel is damaged, collateral vessels pick up some of the overflow while the body sets to both repairing damaged vessels and growing new ones. Flow of blood in the body is like the flow of electric current in an enormous network circuit. If you unplug a lamp, current stops flowing into and out of the socket, but it still flows all around in the rest of the house. And the total house uses a little bit less electricity. Amputation is like shutting off the breaker to a major appliance. First off, where do you work that the tip of your finger was cut off? And second, why was this the first thing you thought of? In this same vein of thought, if you lose a limb and live, does your blood pressure go up? Circulatory system. Hollow red circle infinity reload. Are there currently outlet valves or a parasitic organism at the tip of your appendages that are still attached? It's how the veins work. Basically, blood pumps one way, out through arteries. The vein system sucks up used blood from everywhere back to the heart. The systems works so long as each has a direct connection to the heart. There is more to it than this, but this is the simplified version. The question was already well answered. But to chime in, I've seen a lot of heart CT. And man, you'd be impressed by the crazy shit your body can do to work around blockages of any kind. In some cases, a new path is created to compensate for blood flow issues that will connect to another part of your arteries. Veins and arteries are connected or sealed off, depending on the situation. Otherwise, the patient would obviously bleed out. Your blood vessels are more like plant roots than a racetrack. The very smallest of the roots are capillaries, and they connect to another set of roots known as veins, which first take blood to the liver and then back to the heart. Instead of a figure eight, it is an infinitely branching and anastomosing system. Veins do not directly connect to arteries. They both get progressively smaller until they become what's now as a capillary bed feeding the cells. That's where the exchange happens, and it's largely based on arterial pressure gradient and osmotic pull into veins. https u2.be/6ecmusionc. Coming front a doctor. You must realize the body is not like a simple circuit track. The body has many avenues to deliver blood. And most importantly, portions that are amputated are relatively terminal parts, or end parts of the body. There are so many ways that blood can continuously circulate that it does not matter if a dead end is cut off. I use the built-in redundancy tech as its better example. Capillaries connect to veins and arteries. They have the ability to basically reroute like managing cargo or trains. The human body is fascinating. A healthy body will build, increase in size the necessary capillaries, veins, arteries to complete the needed circulation loop. If a major vein or artery is lost, the body will increase and add to rebalance, restore the blood circulation. Hey, I chopped the tip of my finger off when I was a kid. Jammed it into the sprocket on my bicycle. My sister was riding it like an exercise bike, training wheels, and wouldn't get off. They've mostly grown back to the same size now. I don't have an answer for you, and I am also interested in what the answer would be. My guess would be that your blood pressure increases slightly. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.